What's up, everyone? You're watching Cannell Games here with episode 8 of our Lower League Football Manager 2017 save. We're currently in the 21st tier of English football, and we have a couple games to recap since we last spoke. So as you remember, we beat Dynamo Chicken Kiev 3-0 in our league opener, but since then we've struggled a little bit. We've lost 2-0 in both of our follow-up matches in the league, while we've had 2 cup wins on either side of them. Our first match was against Ardingly, where we lost 2-0. Our offense struggled a little bit. Our front four creative forces, didn't really get a whole lot going. Jay Taylor gave away a penalty, and we struggled quite a bit. So that one was just a little disappointing. Not overly exciting, but we just weren't really able to get anything done. We did play against Dynamo Chicken Kiev Maidenbauer a second time, and this one played to a 0-0 draw, and then in extra time, we each scored. Our first one from Matthew Clark by virtue of a penalty, and then Josh Diamond equalized in the 110th minute. So, like many of our cup games, if you remember back to last season, we went to a penalty shootout, and our goaltenders have done well. Again, I think we're 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 in matches that have gone to penalties. So, we scored all 4 of our shots, while our new acquisition, Niall Mayer, our new goalkeeper this season, saved 2 of the 3 that he faced. Our next game in the league was against Crawley United, and you can see another 2-0 defeat. 2 goals, another penalty. Darren Clark had a really bad game. He gave away a penalty just before halftime, and then in a span of 3 minutes got 2 yellow cards and got sent off. I guess he just didn't feel like playing, and that's just fine because he's not going to be playing very much anymore. So in our final game before today's episode anyway, in the Bryan Hall Challenge Cup, we played in the Mid-Sussex Junior Cup second round against Burgess Hill Albion, where we won 1-0 by virtue of another penalty thanks to Matthew Clark, and we've had a lot of trouble generating chances from open play. You can see defensively we did fairly well in this match, and despite the 10 shots with 4 on target, none of them were overly threatening, and it's kind of concerning that we haven't really been able to develop a whole lot in the final third of the opposing, just in the final third of the pitch. You can see in this one, we actually moved to a 4-4-2, and I'm going to be going through our new tactics as we move ahead. One of the main reasons for this was the injury to Mick Dodds, which has caused us to struggle a little bit. He's our main sort of creative force as that sort of shadow striker role where he was so successful last season. However, he should be fit, so we'll maybe have him on the bench, and we may tinker a little bit in the Bryan Hall Challenge Cup today. So to look at the new tactics that we've implemented so far, Mick Dodds will be coming in. I'm trying to think for who, though. Maybe Hotchkiss. So in our 4-4-2, I have Randall and Clark up front with Ryan Salmon as our strike option off the bench. Harrison and Martin as our 2 wingers. Hayes in the middle. I may switch him out for Mick Dodds at some point. That'll sort of be our main creative force. Leroy Jennings as a central midfielder on support, almost acting as a faux box-to-box midfielder. He doesn't really have the physicals to fill that role, but I want him to get a little bit further forward. Jack Fixter as an inverted wingback, and the reason I think this might work is Hayes and Jennings are going to push a little bit further forward. We have an advanced playmaker and then a central midfielder asking to get further forward and hopefully help link up with our 2 strikers. What I've noticed with our inverted wingback is that he tends to drift into the middle, almost into a defensive midfielder role, so we'll see how that works today. Not too many other changes for the team. Lamplow, Jeffs, and Taylor are our other 3 defenders, and Randall and Clark, as I already mentioned up top. In terms of team instructions, I look to sort of go to the right flank as much as possible. Connor Martin's got a little bit of pace. He's one of our more skilled wingers. Decent dribbling for this level, good first touch, and kind of cross the ball in. So we'll see how that works early on. He's one of the more talented players on the team. We may switch to putting it up through the middle, but like I said, we'll see how it goes. I also want to pump it into the box. Both of these players are fairly good in the air, especially at this level. Play a little bit wider, close down more because we're giving the other opposition way too much time on the ball, and then we'll see how the early crosses and tempo go. Just sort of throwing. Maybe it's too many instructions. Maybe it's the wrong ones. I'm not sure. If you have any suggestions, obviously leave them in the comments below. On the bench, we have this more versatile winger, Tamar Clayton Knott, or Nout. He can play on both sides, not very good in terms of his mental attributes or defensive or attacking, but he can run and has good technical attributes. So he's got some decent pace. He can cross the ball, has a good first touch. So he's a good sort of change of pace on either side if one of our players gets a little tired as we progress through the match. So as I said, we're going to be playing the Brian Hall Challenge Cup, so let's jump into the game. So for the third time this season, we'll take on Dynamo Chicken Kiev, my favorite team so far in this division, given their name. And their first highlight ends fairly quickly, and we can hopefully move on to our first chance, and hopefully our offense can do something today. Whipped it into the box, bounces back to Jennings. Jennings over to Martin. Martin, not the best finisher, but he puts it on target, and it's a good start. Good start. One shot in the first minute, not too bad, can't complain about it. The one thing that we've been struggling with is not really holding the ball or making those passes, but just sort of giving away possession once we've tried to make anything clinical happen. The short passes are working out pretty well and sort of maintaining possession, but probing into the opposition side is where we've had a lot of problems. Nathan Randall has injured his face apparently, but we'll let him soldier on through that. Not a whole lot of chances outside of that early on. I'm really looking... honestly, I don't really know what I'm looking for because despite me thinking that this league was going to be a romp, I guess Dynamo Chicken Kiev was not a good test of our abilities in the first game of the season. There's a lot of new... Oh, that's a dangerous cross in there. There's a lot of new challenges, even though we've only gone up one tier. Last season, if you remember, we struggled to find our form early on. We bring in a lot of new players, but we need to bring in a lot of new players, whether other teams take some of our better players or the players that we had last season just aren't talented enough to really cut it. Oh, just wide from Clark. The important thing that we need to do is keep bringing in new players as we move up these divisions. It's a similar thing that you'll see in pretty much any Football Manager save. You have to refurbish your roster whenever you are promoted. So there is some time, I guess, for the squad to develop chemistry and for me to really understand how to use them most effectively. That's a pretty lazy ball back to the keeper. But overall, the problem is this season is fairly short. There's only 9 teams in the division. Over to Randall. What was he doing? What was he doing there? He had all the time in the world in the box, just didn't want to shoot. I guess in 2D you can't see the sort of like the fine details, but it looked like he was easily able to get on the end of that. Back to Harrison. Harrison to Clark. Clark, put it in the net. Oh, jeez. We're getting chances. So I can say that. Oh, my goodness. We need to score. We need to score a goal here. So anyway, the problem is the season's not very long. It's only 16 games in the regular season for the division. So we can't really afford that long sort of learning curve and catching up with the rest of the division. Oh, here's a good chance for them, but that's a poor finish there. Got away with one. But we are controlling possession. We are controlling the flow of play so far. So hopefully we'll be able to find a goal maybe before halftime and take a lead into the break here. And Blau puts it into the box. Come on, Martin. Martin in the back of the net. Nice cross. Martin runs onto it. That's his first goal of the season. First goal of his career for Cannell Independent. So I knew exploiting the right flank. I knew it. Martin, with all those skill, that first touch, is able to volley it into the back of the net. We'll see it in 3D here. Ooh, first highlight. Computer needs to warm up. It's cold here in Canada. I think it was -12 today. It's a chilly one. Got a lot of snow on the ground. You can't really see it out the window there. But it's a cold one. Lamplau, first touch into Martin. Off the half volley. Right underneath the diving keeper. And that puts us ahead just before halftime. Just as I asked. Just as I wanted. And that makes, obviously, the halftime talk a lot easier, unless... No. Only McDodds can score those types of free kicks. So, fairly boring, but we'll be, positive. We controlled the play. Hopefully we can get something together again and get our offense on track, get the squad on form, high in confidence, a good route against our... Ooh, that's a dangerous cross. Harrison clear it out. There you go to Randall. See if we can counterattack with our 2 strikers at the front. Very different team this year, especially at the attacking end, so that could be some of our problems, because they are far more talented than the group that we had last year, but they probably just don't have the chemistry, and I don't know how to work them best yet. Good save by Mayer. I'm still surprised how good he is for us being able to acquire him, if I'm being entirely honest. Jennings, good shot on net. That's what one finishing will get you. But Mayer looks like a player, I think I mentioned this last episode. He would fit in a lot of youth teams in the championship or League One, at least looking at his, never mind. 1-1. They've been getting on those counter-attacking chances all game. May need to look into our center backs. They do lack pace. Taylor there just outmatched. Near post. It's a one-on-one, clear-cut chance. Like, you want to say you should hope the keeper can do better, but that really falls onto the defense. Just a long ball over the top, and the defense just gets beaten by it. You can't have that. So let's mark him a little bit tighter, I guess. We may need to switch him out, because if Gao can outpace Taylor, we may be in some trouble. But we should be able to find another goal here. Davies gets onto it, up to Pope Kessel. And just another one over the top. Fixter has gone into very central position there. I told you sort of how he moves in, almost like a third center back, as opposed to a wing back. But it's working out okay for us so far. May need to bring in McDodds for a little more creative power in the middle. Reese Hayes doesn't look like he's doing overly well. I haven't really seen him on the ball that much, except for giving it away. And there Hayes wins it. So there he showed me. Randall, can he run onto it? Nope. Over the top to Gao again. Good save by Mayer. We're just getting beat over the top. Pull him back to a just defensive role. Maybe it's because he's playing as a stopper. Drop him back a bit. Bring in McDodds. He's just going to play. I don't care if he's not comfortable. He can do it. He can do it. Trust me, he can do it. So we have two quick changes there, one substitution. Hayes knocks it away, and that's going to be another corner kick. That's sloppily cleared there, careening off two of our players and out. I'd like this not to go to penalties again, or to extra time. Just wide from Harrison. Good try. But we do have our set piece specialist in. I just want to check and make sure. Yeah, I don't have it in. But he should take them anyway, right? It just defaults to that. But just to make sure, because this is a new formation that I made while McDodds was injured, so I probably didn't set those yet. Every time I slightly change our tactic, I forget that it completely redoes the set pieces. Even though I use pretty much the same set pieces. I do have custom corner attacking and defense, and then I have custom free kicks as well set in. So I keep forgetting that I have to change those, and I should probably load those, but I'll do that later. Again, we haven't... After that initial start, after that initial flurry of chances, I don't know if the opposing team adjusts to us, but there's just not a whole lot of chances for us after that initial flurry. And our offense has gone quiet once again. The pitch, Randall flicks it on to Clark. Clark, here's our chance. Sprinting down the line, two converge on him. He's able to break past them. Just can't put the cross in. And now Chicken Kiev is on the counter. Crab takes on Taylor. Gets by him, plays it back to Bryant. Brad Book to go. Jennings knocks it free. Here's Randall. Can he use his pace to get ahead? Get in on net. Can he do something? That's just way too tough of an angle. No one's there to really help him. On the plus side, the condition of our team's fairly good at the moment, heading towards extra time, but it would be nice to get around that and not go to extra time once again. Jennings plays it into Martin. Martin, can he get a second? Just wide again. He's had a lot of good chances. A lot of good chances for our, today's captain. That's too bad. We'll be positive. Just we can come out of the match with a win. See what we can do here. I may take it off, exploring the right flank, but we've done okay. We'll leave it. There just hasn't been enough, feedback yet. And post-match, I'll have to take a look at it and see and sort of adapt the tactics as we go from match to match. McDodds whips in a corner here. Can we get on the end of it? Oh, cleared off the line. That was a close play there. Randall plays it back into the box. Harrison crosses over from him into Dodds. Dodds, he probably could have cut across the net and onto his left foot, his better foot too, and could have done something with that. Back to Clark. Clark back to Taylor. Holding possession, trying to probe into the box here. Dodds plays it back into Jennings. Jennings over to Martin. Can he whip in one of his good crosses? Nope. Gets deflected. Randall loses out. And Crab, and they play the ball long, and we can hopefully regroup here. Back to Mare, and that's the end of that one. So we're nearing the end of the first half of extra time. We've had a chance, but not a whole lot going on from that. Team's probably getting fairly tired at this point. Harrison's a little gassed. He's looked okay. We'll bring in Clayton now. Actually, no, we won't, because he is a righty, and I don't really want that right now. We'll bring in Stone as a fullback. We have the yellow to Lamplau. And we'll bring in Salmon for Randall as our poacher. Let's see if our veteran, our player of the season from last year, can make an immediate impact once again. Although we might not need to if we can do something with this counterattack here. Up to Jennings. Jennings just wastes it. I know I told you to get further forward, but you have one finishing, and you're taking shots from 25 yards outside the box. Well, not 25 yards out. 25 yards off the net. 25 yards outside the box would be, 43 yards? So no, he wasn't doing that. The other thing, again, I keep drawing attention to this, but 81 attendance. We're actually going to be making some money this year, I feel. Like, just a little bit. Or break even, or not be negative 4,500. Because remember, our expenses should be relatively the same. We're not losing any money. I don't know why Greg Robertson still is the penalty taker. So what do we got here? We're going to have Fixter. We're gonna who else but Ryan Salmon to take the fifth kick. Jennings go sort by penalty and then composure. And once again, we're going to be into a penalty shootout. So Pope with a run up for the first kick. Good save by Mare. He is so good. He's saved 3 of 4 penalties that he's had to face in shootouts. Clark into the back of the net, and he hasn't missed a single penalty. I think he's 4 for 4 now in the season. Here's Max Neighbor. Oh, just guessed right, just over the top. It's a good penalty take there. Can't save them all. Can't save them all, but his record so far has been really impressive. Martin, our goal scorer today, puts it into the top corner there, nice and clean. He's done that, I think, both penalty shootouts. He's put it right in the top corner like that, and just it's unsavable at this level. Davey, almost the same spot, just blasted in the top of the net. That's tough to save, even for a goaltender of Mare's caliber. Here's McDodds back from injury. Puts it in the net. Yes, he does. Right down the middle. Goalie diving to the right. We've been very, very good at taking penalties all season. Right down the middle. It's okay. We still have control. Fixter into the left corner of the net. If he saves this, we win. And that was a terribly taken penalty. And we win. As he sort of sidestep saunters and whatever that is. And we win another cup game from a penalty shootout. So I guess a good win. They played well enough, had our chances, just really struggling with being clinical. And I don't know, maybe that's just a lack of form and a lack of talent on the offensive side of the ball, technically speaking, attacking, finishing, all those different sort of attributes that go into being a skilled player. A lot of the players that I've built around have good physical attributes. They can run. They have some speed, and hopefully, sort of relying upon that to some level. Although our center backs, I may need to look into that, or at least dropping Taylor back out of his role as a stopper, which I had him for the entirety of last season, and he was, like I said, as you saw from the end of season episode, he was voted our second best player. So as a stopper, he seemed to succeed quite a bit, but he did give away a goal today. He struggled a little bit since we've been promoted, so Kabaki hasn't looked good either. So Logan Jeffs has been our one center back who hasn't been terrible, and it may be a position that we need to strengthen this season. So that was our match there. We do have the draw for our next match. But if we'll quickly go over to our league table, as I didn't touch on this earlier, we're sitting in last place. Now, we do have a game, or in some cases 2 games in hand for our league, because our match days are always kind of messed up because we have an odd number of teams. We have 9 teams in the league. So every team had played 1 game before we had played our first. So there are some problems there. Well, not really problems, but it does give you an incomplete picture of the table. However, those 2 losses, 2-0, 2-0, to Crawley United and Ardingly, both right now top-ish of the table, but no real team jumps out as being absolutely dominant. Nutley hasn't lost yet, but they have 2 draws. So there's really nothing to glean from this quite yet. Moving forward, again, need to look at strengthening the squad as we progress through the season. The big things will be the center back positions. As you can see, at least with our assistant ratings, Jay Taylor not really cutting it. Useful rating for the youth team, and Kabaki is pretty poor for the youth team. However, they rate McDodd's pretty average, and like his skills aren't very good either, but he was so good last season. I may need to, come off of him a little bit. His physicals aren't great. Maybe I'm over-relying or overemphasizing physicals, but central midfield may be somewhere where we need to really strengthen ourselves. Leroy Jennings, we don't really have that well-rounded central midfielder to really sort of play those killer sort of those passes forward that really unlock the opposition's defense. So that'll about do it for today's episode. I think we'll play up to however many. We'll stop again for one of the cup games coming forward. We do have the Parsons Challenge Cup in just a couple of days, but I'll play through that against Burgess Hill Albion. We play a lot of the same teams over and over and over again, which is to be expected in an amateur league like this. If any of you have ever played amateur soccer, you typically play the same clubs over and over again, year to year, competition to competition. So we'll see how this season goes. If you have any suggestions to go forward, I know for transfers it's obviously a little tough, considering a lot of these players aren't loaded in the typical Football Manager database. So we're working with a little bit of a unique circumstance here, but particularly around tactics. We've gone through some of the players, you've seen some of their attributes. If you want to take a look at anything, let me know in the comments below, and we'll jump ahead through a couple of these league games. Hopefully we can do well. We're facing a familiar opponent in Heath Rangers, and then Cuckfield Development and Handcross Village, so hopefully we can get some points on the board there and make our way up the table so we can continue our ascent through the 22 tiers of English football. So again, you've been watching Cannell Games. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you're liking. Let me know what you're not liking, and I'll speak to you next time.